we are going to be talking about, oh, it's still summer. Oh, the new season has not started yet, so it will soon. But apparently we have a little more time to do these things. I am going to try Calm Before the Hurricane again. And hopefully I'll be able to, and I've got my summer design Baja, which I will have to give up to do this. So I am going to start this event in a minute. That means I have enough time to get some skill points. So I will go get skill points. Woo! Hey, on my Baja. La, 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 la. And I just missed an opportunity there. If I knock down that postal box, it will give me 1,050 points. Same thing if you hit a trash can, you get about 1,000 for that. So why not? So go for those garbage cans. Try to find the garbage can and not hold it. I'm just a senior delinquent here. Oh my. Yes, I do. We are waiting for other players. I'm hoping that I will drive better tonight than I did last night, but I'm feeling a little better than I did last night. I am in a little better mood. I have a realtor. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the financing, which is my big worry because I am on a fixed income. But we are going to try again to find a place we can afford to buy. So I am in a lot better mood tonight than I was last night. We still are worried about the landlord going up on the rent because our landlord changed hands. But I am hopeful. I am hopeful. The realtor I found is a real sweet lady. She knows her stuff and she's going to do some research for me. So I am very happy. If you're going to buy a house or buy land, which I am thinking that I might go that route, buy land and build me a house. My crazy idea probably, it's not a guarantee that I can do this, but we'll see. We'll see. But first of all, we've got to build some credit. Now, credit can be built pretty easily. You get a secured credit card, one of those that's backed up by money in a savings account, and you make payments on something. And if you do that for about 3 months, your credit score will come up a good bit. My daughter is the one who's trying to build her credit. She has not got any, but credit is a fluid thing. It's not written in stone, so you have to build it by using credit. So we're not a credit card family. I do not have a credit card. I do not want one at my income because I don't think I really need to have the temptation. But my daughter is young 30. She needs to build some credit, so maybe she has a chance at getting a house. And I want her to have that security. All her short life, we've been moving and moving and moving because we're renters. And for somebody who works for a living, it really makes sense to have a house because you save so much money by buying a house. It doesn't seem, like you would think buying a house is more expensive. And house prices are terrible. But think about this. The reason that a house saves you money is because you don't get as much tax taken out. The tax breaks are definitely like getting a house for a lot less money, because even though you may be paying more for your payment, you're paying less in taxes, so it compensates, right? So it makes sense to buy a house. Now, finding one at our income level is going to be a challenge. We don't want something that has just horrible mold problems and, stuff like that. We want to find or build a place that we can call home, and we won't have the instability problems of, change of landlord, stuff like that, and the going into an apartment. If we do subsidized housing, generally they come in and tell you, come in and inspect you once a month. Oh, you can't have this mess here. You got to clean that up. You got to do so-and-so. You can't have all this furniture in the middle of the room. Well, it doesn't make a difference that I'm handicapped and I need that furniture in the middle of the room to hold on to, so I don't have to get out my walker. It's easier to hold on to furniture for me than it is to hold on to a walker. But, then you've got people who aren't handicapped telling you what you need. It's like, come on. And most handicapped accessible apartments, one of them we lived in, they said, oh, all our units are handicapped accessible. They are. We got there. There was a 3-inch rise on the doorway, between the doorway and sidewalk. Now, 3 inches doesn't seem like a whole lot. If you're in a wheelchair, it's a cliff. And you have to have a short ramp to be able to get your wheelchair in and out. Well, those things aren't cheap, and no government agency will buy it for you. So we had to get one of those $125 ramps. Well, we paid $125 for one, and we needed two. We needed a $350 one also for the 3-inch rise. So, it's a big deal. You wouldn't think 3 inches is that big of a deal, but it is. It makes your life a lot easier to have a ramp and be able to roll in instead of you come up to it and then you've got to use the strength on the wheels to pull yourself up that 3 inches. It is horrible. It is horrible on somebody that has to help a person like me. If you look at the demographics of people who use wheelchairs, 75% are men 25, around that age, or they're veterans that have been shot up. But a lot of them are young men who are injured playing sports, and they are paralyzed from whatever vertebra down. And they're not going to want you to reach something for them in the store. They're not going to ask for help. In fact, a lot of them are going to be resentful if you want to help them. It's like, no, I'm not helpless. But consider the other 25%. That's where I fall. I'm not paralyzed. I can move my legs, but I can't stand up for very long because I'm physically weak. So a wheelchair helps me to have a place to sit and be able to be wheeled around, because I have a walker with a seat, but that's not what you want to use to push somebody around. It will tear it up. They are not that sturdy. Wheelchairs are not that sturdy. You know, if you let kids play on your wheelchair, they will tear it up, because wheelchairs are fragile. People don't realize that. If you've got a power chair and it's got one of those seats like an automobile seat, you can actually break it leaning on it. Figure, you know, one of those chairs is very, very expensive, and Medicaid will only buy you one maybe every 10 years, and it's very hard to qualify for one. I don't qualify for one, which is really sad because I need it, but they have made the qualifications so steep I can't get one. It makes me mad, because how many people need a wheelchair and can't get one? You know, I can go to Fodak in Atlanta, but that's the trip all the way to Atlanta. That's 2 hours, 2-hour drive, maybe a lot more at rush hour, and rush hour in Atlanta pretty much is 24 hours. It's hard to go to Atlanta and pick up the chair, even though I can get it for free. So Fodak is Friends of Disabled Children and Adults. It is FODAC.org. And if you are in need of a wheelchair and you're in the metro Atlanta area, I strongly encourage you to go talk to them, because you can get on the waiting list, and once you are given a call and said your item has come up, then you have a week to go get it. And you may have to get a U-Haul to get it if it's a bed or a Hoyer lift or something big like that. If you've got a van, you might be able to put your power chair in it. But they have all sorts of disability equipment, include shower chairs, canes, walkers, hospital beds, Hoyer lifts. I mean, you name it. If it's disability equipment, they probably have it. Or get it because they get a lot of donations. They have a lot of contacts around Atlanta, and it's a private organization, but they exist to help people get disability equipment. Now, I'm told that Goodwill serves that function up here near Chattanooga, so I'm going to have to check that out. But, you know, I wish I had my power chair. I miss it so much. But, anyway, we are looking at a lot of options here. But if the rent doesn't go up, you know, we might be here for a lot longer, and I might not go through with my plan. But I really want to have our own place. It wouldn't be my place. It would be Maggie's place. And I want my daughter to have the stability of having her own place, you know? So, we shall see. We shall see what comes next. In the meantime, you are listening to GrannyHandicap, and I am talking about disabled issues, and invariably that includes housing issues. So I am talking about what constitutes a handicapped accessible apartment. If you have a relative with a handicap, what is handicapped accessible anyway? You know, it may be one of those apartments that has the little blue sign outside the parking, and it's, you know, it's like that. But you know, what does it mean to be handicapped accessible? All right, so here's by definition what handicapped accessible is. If there's a ramp leading to the apartment, it cannot have a slope of more than 5 degrees. Now, it's hard to explain that. 5 degrees is, I believe, if I'm not badly mistaken, 1 foot of rise to 5 feet. So, in other words, if you've got the lower elevation and you've got the higher elevation, if that is 1 foot up, then the ramp has to be 5 feet long. So it takes a long ramp if you've got like a 6-foot rise. You know, we're talking a 30-foot ramp. Yep. So people don't realize it. A lot of charity groups will build you a ramp on your house, and they need to know that. They need to know that it can't be over 5 degrees. Why? If they make it too steep and it rains, you are not getting your manual wheelchair up that ramp. That's what that means. So it's not necessarily how it is. Why am I not being match made? I don't understand. So all ramps are not created equal. All apartments are not created equal. All right, the general thing to make a handicapped accessible apartment, part of it is the doorknobs. You may have trouble grasping, and if you're trying to open the door, that can be very frustrating. If you've got a handle that is one of those, like a handle, you know, it's long and thin, you can hit it with your elbow, you can hit it with your hand, you can, you know, there are multiple ways that you can open that door. And it should not be hard to open. It should be easy to be able to just barely touch it and get it open. But yet it should have a sturdy lock on it so that you're not in danger of being broken in on. Because sadly, a lot of gangs target handicapped people. Why? I don't get it. I don't understand. Probably because they're easy targets and they have to commit a felony to join the gang, so they probably say, let's get a handicapped person. They're easy to take their stuff. And so then, you know, it's probably evolved so a lot of gangs just target handicapped people. If you have a handicap tag on your car and the wrong side part down, you are a target. So, and it might not be the wrong part of town either. You got to consider that gangs are everywhere. Obvious gang activity, you know, that's the poorer neighborhoods, but the rich neighborhoods also have gang activity. They may not have obvious gang signs, but wherever you live, there are gangs. Make no mistake about that. They are pervasive and they are everywhere. So gangs are not just a poor people problem. They're a rich people problem. They're an all people problem. Gangs make all sorts of promises to young people. Oh, you can be rich, you can deal drugs, and you can make all kinds of money, and you can have a fancy car like I got. Yeah, and you're looking over your shoulder every 5 minutes to see if the police have caught up with you yet, because they will. It's a big lie. You know, it's much easier to live an honest, legal life than it is to constantly be looking over your shoulder wondering when they're going to catch you. So I say to young people, don't let love of money lead you astray, because, I've been poor most of my life, and I have not turned crime, and it insults me when I fill out the food stamp application and they ask me right on there if I'm a fleeing felon. It's like, what? I'm not a crook just because I'm poor. Good grief. Most of the people I know in my income bracket are honest people, hardworking people. We're not all bums like some political parties would want you to believe. No. If you don't know any poor people, you should go talk to a homeless person at Walmart, really. The back part of the parking lot, where they have the RV parking, if it's allowed by city ordinances. Some Walmarts are not, Walmart doesn't own the property and they can't stipulate that RV parking is okay. A lot of cities are saying RV parking is not okay. We don't want that kind of people here. But what is that kind of people? Homeless people are not what you think they are. If you don't know somebody who's homeless, how do you know what they're like? How do you know how dangerous they are or not? So I'm talking about the homeless because a lot of disabled people are homeless. You think, oh, the government takes care of them. Sure it does. To get disability, you have to have friends and neighbors who will vouch for your state of disability. You have to have doctors and professionals who believe you're disabled, and there is room for disagreement in any scientific discipline. So don't think medicine is not that way. Sometimes doctors have biases, and they will say, well, you're able to do this, you're not disabled. But if that ability to do whatever varies from day to day, some disabilities are not obvious and can be missed by a doctor or medical professional. How's that for a double whammy? You've got one of those hidden disabilities, and you go, like mental illness. You can't look at somebody and say, oh, that person's mentally ill. I mean, people with Down syndrome have certain facial characteristics that, yeah, they're pretty easy to spot. But most people who have a mental disability or a physical one, well, let's talk about mental illness. Most people with mental illness, you can't tell by looking at them because it's behavioral, and you have to observe their behavior for a while to know. And maybe you're not going to see that behavior in an hour-long doctor visit, okay? So things can be missed. And a lot of people who are mentally ill, there's stigma attached. They don't want to admit they're mentally ill, so they try to get disability off of physical things that may or may not be enough. But if you're different. If you're having trouble holding on to a job when other people seemingly don't have trouble holding on to their job. If you have chronic absenteeism, people look at you and think, oh, they're a drug addict. Well, I was not a drug addict, but I had severe absenteeism problems, and I was absent a lot on Fridays and Mondays, which made people think that I was using drugs when I wasn't. It's awful to be accused of something that you're not doing. So, and so what if I was a drug addict? Addiction in this country is seen as moral failing, and it shouldn't be. It is a medical condition. In Europe, they hold people's jobs open for them. They say, well, Hans, you need to go get drug treatment. Your problems are beginning to show at work. And it's okay, we'll hold your job. Just go get treatment and come back. It'll be fine. And they do, and it is. So why can't we do that in this country? Instead of saying, oh, drug addict, oh, you're an awful person, you aren't strong, you should be able to just morally fight your way through it. People who say things like that aren't familiar with addiction. I am not addicted, but I am a writer, and I have researched addiction. It is a horrible thing. People will sell their own mother to get drugs. And then they try to get clean, and the drug treatment programs are so costly. A person who has just been stealing to support their drug habit, they are not going to have thousands of dollars laying around to pay for residential treatment programs. So it all goes back to, we don't emphasize mental health treatment, period, in our country. It's very sad that we don't. We don't recognize that as a problem. Yet, in 1980, Reagan decided that we shouldn't have mental institutions because people were getting mistreated in them. He meant well, but he couldn't get Congress on board for all of it. So Congress ended mental institutions. We don't have many of them anymore. We have a few residential treatment facilities. They are mostly privately owned and very, very expensive. So what's your alternative? You're poor and you've got a mentally ill relative. Well, they closed the mental institutions, so there aren't many. There are a fraction of what there used to be. So you've got all these facilities that were closed. The people in them were put out. Some of them did not have family to take them. And some families got to the end of their rope pretty quickly. If you've got a relative that is dangerous to your children, and they were being kept in a room that could be locked so that they couldn't hurt your children, and now all of a sudden you're in the situation of you've got Aunt Nellie, she's violent, she has, pulled hair out, and, a child can't defend themselves like an adult can. If I were a parent and I had a relative that was like that, what do you do? A lot of these people have ended up on the streets. The homeless problem is terrible, and half of people are either too disabled or too mentally ill to work. So half of people on the street, they do work and have jobs, but they can't afford an apartment because there's no low-income housing. We have gotten to where only rich people can afford houses. That's 30% of the country can afford a house. The other 70% are living paycheck to paycheck, and they're at risk of homelessness. Homelessness has always been a problem in the United States and probably every civilized country. We always have problems with our homeless population. There have always been a small percentage of people that choose to be homeless because they like the freedom. And they're just, it's like a big camp out for them, and, you know, maybe some of them have, you know, not the best purposes in mind. And you meet one of them and you say, oh, all homeless people, they're bad people. They're, you know, just wanting to hide from the law. When the vast majority of homeless people are just, they want to work. And they work very hard to scrape together enough bottles and cans to recycle so they can eat. You know, it's not like they're lazy or shiftless, all the things that we think of when we think of homeless people. There's no picnic being out on the street. And there are enough of the mentally ill who are violent. Now, mentally ill people as a whole are not violent. Very, very few. But there are a few that have hallucinations, and they are dangerous because they think they are in a combat situation when they are not. And they're seeing enemies that you can't see because it is a hallucination. So these people have what is called a psychosis, and it's a break with reality. And most mentally ill people are neurotic. They have anxiety, depression, or any number of, you know, definitions of mental illness, but they are functional enough to hold a job, to raise children. They're not a threat to society at all. So I am not talking about the vast majority of mentally ill people. They are not a threat. But there are a few that are a very big threat. And these are the ones whose horrified relatives look on as they are shot and killed by police because the police think they're a bad guy, when all that's wrong is they're seeing stuff that is not real and they're reacting to it. They need treatment, not to be shot in cold blood. And it's a big problem in our country because we closed down all our mental institutions. What did they think was going to happen? Because Congress didn't appropriate the money for treatment options in the suburbs. So, you know, Congress fell down there. And we as a whole in society are paying for this. The homeless are growing by leaps and bounds. Half of these are families with children. I think it's absolutely shameful that we would put a family with children on the street. And they have no place to go. They can't afford housing because housing is too expensive. So they are on the street and trying to make ends meet the best they can, trying to save up for an apartment or save up to buy a house. And they just get hopeless. And eventually they give up on ever being able to get off the street, to be full citizens again. And it's the awful thing that happens that when somebody is homeless for long enough, they stop believing that they can ever not be homeless. And that is a growing population on our streets. Most people who are homeless don't beg, but a few do. And the next time you see somebody holding out a sign and saying, "We'll work for food," you know, see if they will really work for food. If they're hungry, they might work for you to get food. And, you know, all they might want is a fast food meal to tide them over for a few more hours, you know? We need Let's not be so tied up with, oh, if they're going to spend it on drugs, I'm not going to give them any money. Well, who are you to dictate how a homeless person spends his money, you know? They may spend it on drugs, they may spend it on something they need, they may spend it on food, you don't know. But, you know, if you're a Christian, you're supposed to be helping people. And you're not supposed to be worried about, well, how are they going to spend it? You can't know that. That's between them and Heavenly Father. All you can do is say, well, that person looks hungry. I'm going to give them some money and hope that they will buy food that's good for them with it and not buy drugs, which are bad for them. But people should have choices. Poor people should have choices. And if you give them something as a gift, you know, if you give your friend a gift, you're not going to be looking over his shoulder saying, how are you going to use that? Are you going to keep it or are you going to sell it? You know, you're not going to do your friends that way. Why should you do a homeless person that way? I ask you. You know, you can't know what circumstances they're under, and if they're pretending to be homeless or not. There's some of those out there too. But however it goes, you don't have to worry about how are they going to use what you give them. If you're giving from the heart, you're just giving. You're not worried about, you know, I've given a 20 to a homeless person before when I've had one. A lot of times I don't have anything like that to give. But if I don't have anything to give, I still say, I smile at them and say, I'm sorry, I'm not in too good of a financial thing either, but I sure wish I could help you. And a lot of people are just grateful if you say that, you know? Hello. But, you know, talking about the disabled and homeless, there's a good population of disabled people on the streets because they can't afford the housing. And I think it's cruel to separate people from their pets. Look what happened in New Orleans when Katrina hit. There were lots of people who would not leave their pets to get on a bus to go someplace where they didn't know where they were going to be taken, you know. So even when help did come, a lot of people just refused to leave without their pets. So pets are good for people's mental health. So I think it's cruel to separate people from their pets, especially disabled people. You know, if you've got a pet, you've got somebody who loves you unconditionally, no matter what your situation is. And that pet is lowering your blood pressure. There's been studies by the Delta Society on the impact that pets have on our lives. Even having a fish, a goldfish or a betta in a bowl, lowers your blood pressure. That makes you less likely to have a heart attack or a stroke, Pets can add so much to our lives, and in the case of high blood pressure, can even make us healthier. So why do we want to restrict that? I know that irresponsible pet owners can be a drain on a landlord. I'm not going to just look at one side and not look at the other. I know that landlords have to make money, and if they're having to spend bukus of dollars on cleaning up after people who were irresponsible and didn't clean up after their pets and left an apartment in horrible condition, I'm the kind of person that if I leave an apartment, I'm going to leave it broom clean if I can. I'm going to make sure that I'm not causing a problem or expense for my landlord, because I can see both sides. the same time, I wish that more landlords were understanding of that bond between the person and their pet. And, you know, I know they have to have limits, but I think the limits are too severe. You know, a lot of pet owners are willing to pay really high pet deposits. We paid $350 for our 3 pets. So, you know, or 300, we paid 200. But, you know, if the deposit was 350, we would pay it. I mean, you know, we have been willing to pay a lot more than that when we had more pets. So, you know, we're willing to pay the big pet deposits, so if you have to clean up after us, you've got money to do it. We have the incentive to try to get our pet deposits back, so we, you know, it's nice when they're refundable, but, oh me, it's just really worrisome when you've got pets that you've had for a long time. We've had Aki for 12 years. Over 12 years. He's 13 now. And we've had Corrine and Lila for all of their 7 years of life, except for the first 5 weeks. It's very hard to let go of pets when you've had them for this long. So, you know, that's why I don't want to go in an apartment. I don't want to go in subsidized housing because I don't want people telling me, oh, you've got too much stuff, you need to get rid of it. It's like, I'm not a little kid. I know I've got too much stuff, but I don't want to just throw bunches of stuff out without looking in the boxes because it's all mixed up. So, you know, here we are, wondering if we're going to be able to stay here. It is very frustrating. But, you know, if we could just have a place of our own. It seems like a pipe dream. And building a house, it is very expensive. All the building permits and environmental studies and stuff like that. I'm gonna, well, I'll add it to the garage. Thank you. But, you know, I would at least like to try to get a house or to get land that we might be able to put a house on. I think the main problem is the housing market. How are 70% of the people supposed to afford a house when it's just the impossible dream? Houses are too expensive. Unless you want to get something with mold problems. I have asthma. Really? You know, or infestations with bugs. It's, you know, it's like, I want to be able to have a place to live without having to worry about who's going to be my next landlord. Are they going to sell it and build a business development or something? I don't know. They can't do that with our mobile home complex because it's owned between a couple of different people that have lots spread out all over it. So they're not going to sell. But eventually, you know, there may be you know. They can't hold on to it forever. Maybe their kids will hold on to it. Maybe their kids won't hold on to it. And that's the risk. So it just never ends. I really want to just be able to afford a place to live. Ooh, Monster Guide to the Galaxy. But, you know, I want so badly just to have a place and not... I'm 62 years old. I'm tired of moving. I can't count the number of times I've moved in my life, trying to find cheaper rent, trying to find a place away from the gang activity, trying to find a place away from drug addicts next door. I have seen it all. And I'm 62 years old. I'm tired. My one house that I was able to get, I lived there 3 years and then we got a prowler. And that prowler was after my 14-year-old daughter. What do? I ended up doing a bankruptcy because of that one house. It was my only debt. What do? You know, I don't know. I will never be a homeowner again because I found out during that 7 years that Georgia has this law. If you're elderly, you can't leave your house to your daughter like I wanted to do. If you are on disability and you've got medical bills, well, the state of Georgia, thank you, is going to take your house and pay your medical bills. I think it's criminal. It makes people stay in poverty. Why would they do that to us? Why would they say, okay, well, you can't have a house. You're not a citizen. You're a citizen in name only. You are disenfranchised. You know, I didn't ask to be disabled. Oh, seasons changing. I didn't ask to be living off of my Social Security check. Ooh, any Nissan. Well, let's do that. Let's get a Nissan.
Bringing up your autumn event map now. Fancy giving them a go?
I do. I want to. Cool. All right. Cool. Not yet. First, I'm going to get my other car. I need a Nissan. I have several. So I'm going to do the Nissan thing. I'm going to get off my soapbox. But disabilities are no fun. You know, some of us have hidden disabilities. Some of us have obvious disabilities. Some of us are mentally ill or mentally disabled. That's not always obvious. So the next time somebody acts weird around you and you're going, what's wrong with him? Think about that. But for the grace of God, that might be you. You know, how would you want to be treated if you were the one that was not thinking straight or had a tic or a limp or something, a shriveled hand? You know, how would you feel if people were talking about you? You know, I think a lot of people just have never really stopped to think. Our lives are so busy. we tend to get involved in our own problems and not look beyond the border to people who are having problems, our neighbors, our co-workers, our the people we share the waiting room with or the line with. You know, if we want to have world peace, it starts at home. It starts with that person in line next to you who may be very different from you in their beliefs, in the way they dress, in the way they talk, or the way their religious beliefs, or they might be having gender identity problems, or they might have a different sexual orientation than you. It's none of your business, really. But think about, we are a country of people who are different. If you look at it that way, we are a melting pot. We are a country of a gazillion different cultures, a gazillion different life situations. We all have in common human emotion, red blood. You know, there are definitely things in common that we all have. Just because somebody is homeless, just because somebody is disabled, just because somebody is mentally ill, because somebody is, you know, they dress differently, they talk funny, you know, it doesn't make them less than a person. It just means that we need to exercise a little more understanding. If we want world peace, isn't it worth it to start getting to know your neighbor that walks funny, or get to know your neighbor that talks to somebody who isn't there? You might be surprised at how coherent their thinking and speech can be. You know, they might have a lot in common with you. And if you're thinking that, oh, I could never be like somebody like that, well, are you perfect? Do you have perfect health, perfect fitness, perfect whatever? You know, you might not, and probably don't, and, you know, you might have things in common with people that you think, oh, I could never be like that. You don't have to believe as they do. You don't have to speak their language. You don't have to even make that much of an effort. But if you just smile and say hi, you know, you might make that person's day, really. And, you know, you may not be Christian, but you may think that making the world a better place is a good idea, and it can't hurt to just smile at somebody and say hi. You know, you never know what is inside a person until you talk to them a little bit, until you get to know them a little bit. If we want world peace, we really need to work at it. And it starts with the people near you who seem very unlike you. Because they may be very unlike you, but on the other hand, they might be more like you than you think. And some people are threatened by that. But consider that, you know, you don't necessarily want to make snap judgments. You wouldn't want somebody making a snap judgment of you because you're wearing a particular t-shirt that says something one day. You know, maybe they get a different idea than what you were thinking when you bought the t-shirt in the first place. But we need to work on understanding each other. And that's what I hope to do in this channel. I want to attract a group of people that wants to understand each other better and just wants to generally kind of just let's get to know each other. Let's start thinking in different ways. If you have a sentence that starts with, well, low-income people are, if you say that a lot, maybe you need to rethink it. Maybe you need to think, well, you can't characterize people by income. Just because I make less money than you or made less money than you and I've got a certain amount of Social Security now doesn't mean a thing as far as what kind of person I am. My income is not me. My state of disability is not me. The part of you that is me is what's inside you, how you think, how you see the world around you, and maybe you've had some hurtful experiences that I haven't, and you think, I'm just, people like that ruined my life or whatever. No, people like that didn't ruin your life. People can't ruin your life. You can still be happy no matter what conditions are. If you just take a minute to say, well, maybe one person in this group did me wrong, but that doesn't mean that everyone in this group is automatically going to do me wrong. So you want to, oh good,
Okay,
I want to go to
sis.
Force-a-thon.
Plotting your route to the Force-a-thon live event now.
But we need to
Turn
think
around
about
when it is safe to do so.
who we're going to choose as friends, who we're going to, you may say, well, I've got enough friends. Well, maybe you do. But if you think about, you want to make the world a better place, shouldn't you start with those around you who are different?
Force-a-thon live will begin soon. Good luck.
So I'm hoping that I want to gather a community around me that values disabled people and sees them as people, not whatever their disability is. I don't want to be classified by, well, she has fibromyalgia, she's probably imagining it all, Please. True, there is not a scientific test that definitely can tell you whether you've got fibromyalgia or not, and pain is a very subjective
You have
thing,
arrived
so
early.
there is
Force-a-thon
no
live will begin
test
soon.
that tells you, okay, this person is in very, very severe pain, but they're not showing it, they're not gritting their teeth, so how do you know that they're feeling that much pain? Well, you actually don't. So there's no scientific test to tell a doctor this person is in this amount of pain and needs this amount of pain medicine. So, and the state of the art with pain meds is that most of it can get you addicted anyway. So, you're either, you can take it for a while and hope you don't get addicted. But doctors are really going to try not to let you get addicted. So you shouldn't feel guilty if the doctor says that, you can have this pain medicine. You have to weigh the pros and cons yourself. and decide, well, do I want to put up with those side effects or, whatever. How bad is your pain?
Thoughts of
If
our live
it's
will begin
that
shortly.
bad, you'll take
Good
anything.
luck.
So, but all people who take pain meds are not addicts, and that's what people think nowadays. If you take pain meds, oh, you're going to be addicted. Well, I'm going to follow what my doctor says if I take pain meds, and I'm going to do everything that he says that will help me not be addicted. So, who are you to tell me that I shouldn't take pain meds because I might get addicted? Well, I could be hit by a meteor when I walk outside the next time. Happened to a lady in 1958 in Alabama. But, the thing is, doctors and medicine, hospitals, they do the best they can, but a lot of things we don't know much about. We are learning, and we're learning all the time by leaps and bounds. That's why so many specialists exist now, because it's too much for one medical student to learn in school, so they have to have a lot of specialists to learn the other stuff that
Thoughts of our live will begin soon. Good luck.
that the people in medical school can't learn it all, so you specialize. Gets disseminated. There's a lot more medical knowledge now than when I was growing up in the 60s. Think about how far medicine has come. My poor mother used to get pneumonia several times a year, and a lot of those times she would end up in the hospital in critical condition. This is how I grew up.
Starting in 5, 4, 3,
And
2, 1, go! Round 1 started.
And the thing is that a lot of people are in that boat. Even nowadays, my mother died of pneumonia in the 80s, in 1982. And I was thinking at the time, with all our medical advances, all of the things that we've been able to do with antibiotics and with medicines to treat things like epilepsy, which she also had, you don't think about that somebody can still die of pneumonia.
Turn around when it is safe to do so.
In this day and time, but they sure do, and a lot of people die of pneumonia as a complication of the flu or COVID. There's a lot of things that can cause pneumonia. So you can even get pneumonia from a cold, common cold. So that's why I think masks are a good thing. I think that we should still be wearing masks. Because even though we don't have to worry still of a vaccine, we haven't got enough people vaccinated to get to herd immunity yet. We are getting close.
Turn around
But
when it is safe to do
what
so.
about the next pandemic? I mean, it's going to be like this. We are going to have to deal with other pandemics, because it is very easy for, we're encroaching on wildlife, and wildlife can get us infected. So there will be other pandemics, the experts think. So if we have a leg up and we're already wearing masks, then the next one won't be as bad as this one, hopefully, and it won't be as widespread. Oh dear. Well, I've got to go through again. But I'm just saying that we need to think about things in different ways. We need to get very creative in our thinking. we need to rethink having 35 kids in a classroom. Is that really wise? When I was growing up, I would miss 30 days in school year because I would get sick all the time. We didn't know why. I was basically healthy, but I caught a lot of stuff. Well, it turns out, after COVID, they found out that people with A and B blood actually have weaker immune systems. I have B positive blood. So I have a weaker immune system than a comparable person of my age with O blood. And O is the most common type. So if you don't know your blood type, I encourage you, go to the Red Cross and give blood. If you qualify and you give blood, you will know your blood type that day. And that's an important thing to know. It should be on your driver's license. It should be in your wallet in case you are in an accident and need blood. They need to know what type you are. And if they already know what type, they're going to verify it. But if they already know what blood type you are, it gives you a leg up. Maybe you can get blood quicker. So, you know, especially if it's a Red Cross card that says I gave blood and my blood was that, then, you know, all right, we made it to round 2. You know, you should know your blood type. It's important. And if you don't want to ever give blood again, you don't have to, but you would have the card. And that would let anybody know what your blood type is. It's a good thing.
Turn around when it is safe to do so.
Now I know that my blood type is B positive. And that means that blood might be in short supply when I need it. You know, if I ever needed it. I haven't yet, but I've had several major surgeries. It's possible that I could need blood. Not many people are giving blood these days because of the fear of COVID. They always have blood shortages in the summer, like right now. So I encourage you, get up there. I encourage you to consider giving blood. Oh, I see that. Back up here. I encourage you to think about giving platelets, which is a little more complicated process, but there are a lot of cancer patients, like my father. He had multiple myeloma, which is bone marrow cancer mainly, and he got platelets. So after he died, in his memory, I gave platelets. And my work would actually let me off for 16 hours a year to do that. It takes about 2 hours to give platelets. They have to put needles in both your arms, so if you're squeamish about needles, I can see it, but if you think about, Dad said after he got his platelets that he was feeling like he could go run and jump. Here he is, 62 years old, which I am now, and he felt so much better after those treatments. And I was very happy that somebody took the time to give the platelets so he could have that experience. So think about, you know, it may be uncomfortable for 2 hours while you're giving blood, but you can watch a movie while you're doing it. And it is such a boon for somebody to be able to have a second chance at life. whether you give blood or platelets is immaterial. They need both. But the Red Cross doesn't pay you any money for it, and there are places that pay you for your blood. If you're, I don't think it's a bad thing if you're strapped for cash. I've never done it, but I've given blood to the Red Cross until I got on medications that they don't want my blood now. I'm on 7 different prescription drugs, so no, I can't give blood. But I used to when I was younger. So I encourage you, it might help somebody a lot. Somebody you don't even know. So, but they found that the flu season was almost non-existent last year. Now we're having flu in the summer because people are getting out and having big gatherings again and not wearing masks. And, really, we should be wearing masks. Our school kids should be wearing masks. I heard now that they are vaccinating 12-year-olds. I highly encourage you, get your kid vaccinated, because we don't know what all the bad effects are from COVID. My daughter and I, we had COVID twice, and now we have these skin problems that won't go away. And that is scary to me. If it can affect my skin, what else is it affecting? Because it can affect your brain. They've found that it does some brain damage when you have it. That's not replaceable. Your brain doesn't really regenerate brain cells. I mean, your brain can be rather plastic and you can learn to do things again and stuff like that. But, I mean, do you want to lose any gray matter? I really would not want to lose any of my intelligence. And I certainly wouldn't want my kid to lose any intelligence from having COVID. And that's essentially what is happening. You are losing measurable function in some cases from having COVID. It's not good. So you really want to make sure that you're
Round 2 complete. Get to round
protecting your
3.
children. Because COVID doesn't just affect lungs, it affects a lot of areas of the body. It can
Turn around
affect
when
your
it is safe to do
kidneys,
so.
it can affect your heart, your brain, your skin is an organ. It's the largest organ on your body. I mean, it can
400
do
meters,
bad things
turn left.
to you. So, really, you want to protect your body and your brain as much as you can. So, I encourage you to get vaccinated. I am fully vaccinated. I had both of the vaccinations. I had the Pfizer. I have not had any major problems from that. Also, when you're getting vaccinated, choose your dominant hand, that
Turn
arm,
around
to
when
get
it is safe to
vaccinated
do
in,
so.
because you will have less soreness if you're using that arm. So, for example, I'm right-handed. I had both of my shots in the right shoulder, and yes, I was very sore, and yes, I did get sick, but I'm B positive. I get sick from the flu vaccine. So really, it's just one more vaccination. I usually get a little sick from any vaccination I get. So it's not just the COVID. It's everything. So, but to me, it's worth that little bit of sickness because I would much rather be a little sick than a lot sick. A lot of the things that we get shots for can kill us. Flu can give you pneumonia and you can die of pneumonia, which is a horrible way to go. My poor mother. It's awful when you can't breathe. And it was horrible seeing her go through that again and again and again, because once you get pneumonia the first time, you're going to keep getting it because it scars your lungs. And eventually your lungs are just one big scar. Why did I do that? I need to get between the cameras. I did not stay between the cameras. Okay. But, I want to encourage y'all to get vaccinated.
Turn around
Not
when it is
just
safe
the
to do
COVID
so.
vaccine, but your tetanus shot every 10 years. And they don't just give a tetanus shot now, they give you the tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis, which is against whooping cough. Oh gosh. Whooping cough, diphtheria, which is an awful diarrhea type of disease, and pertussis is whooping cough. So you want to protect yourself. Tetanus is a horrible disease. Mama talked about the time that her dad went and sat with a guy who was dying of tetanus. You have seizures until your bones break. It's horrible. Horrible. Aw, but we got 1 and 2. We tried. Maybe next time. We tried. But we have these wonderful vaccinations and we're protected against so many diseases, and people read the sheet with the side effect list and they go nuts. It's like the reason that they still have the vaccination, despite the side effects that can happen, is because most people, the great majority of people, don't have any symptoms after the vaccine except they have the immune response to that pathogen. Oh, it's sad. I'm bad with the X button. I'm not good at holding it long enough or tapping it or whatever, and then I miss my messages, but I'll go on there later and thank him for adding me as my friend. Vaccinations often give you a little bit of a case of the disease. It's not contagious, but it is a sign that your immune system is working. And it's a good sign that it is working. So if you're one of the ones that gets sick when you get a flu shot, well, think about that. If you get sick when you get a flu shot, how are you going to react if you've got that flu? You might die. So that having that little bit of sickness is a good thing. It shows that your immune system is working and you have now gotten it to recognize that pathogen, so it will respond more heavily next time. You might not get sick next time. So, don't be scared of the side effects, because the vaccine would not pass muster and be a thing if it was that dangerous. Ooh. Okay. Good.
It says it's pet friendly.
Well, investigate that. How pet friendly is it?
Never been.
Ah.
We're
Okay.
down in Lafayette, Georgia.
That's quite a ways away from doctors and stuff, but
I know that it's affordable and
Yeah.
if it's something that we can have within 4 months because
Mhm.
it would buy me time to build up credit.
yes, it would.
It would buy
It
me
would.
time to get a job, build up
Absolutely.
credit, and help us
Yeah.
buy a lot.
Yeah.
Because I don't see any way I can build up enough credit for them within 3 months.
You can. You can. Credit score is not a written in stone thing. It's fluid. It's a moving target. You have to use credit to get credit.
Regions has a Regions Now card
Uh-huh.
that I could get.
Uh-huh.
And I guess it counts as a credit card.
Is it a secured card? You have to have a savings account behind it?
Secured card.
Yeah, that's the kind they're talking about. And just buy something with it and make a monthly payment, and show that you are responsible enough to pay it off. And you could probably also, you might qualify for a regular one if you get your dad to write a letter that you've been making payments every month and you haven't defaulted, and you also have that medical bill you paid off. You've got proof that you paid that off. So, and you've got your phone bill. You've never been late on your phone bill, have you? See, you could get AT&T. Well, you were with AT&T, so you've got two. You.
And Dad was paying AT&T stuff, so
Oh, that's not going to count. But you could get them to write you a credit letter, and you can probably request that online from them right now. Why don't you do that? It does not hurt to have a credit letter saying that you. Yes, we do. And that might be enough to get you a regular unsecured credit card. I don't know. Let's find out.
Hi, whoever
Hi, it's probably the bot, but we'll see. I'll go to the dashboard. And I need to actually go to the stream manager. I always forget which one it is. And my chat. Let's see who's in the chat. Oh, Lateraling. Hi, you're back with me. I'm glad to see you.
Lateraling.
Hi. We're not trying to embarrass you to call attention to you. If you want to just lurk, that is great. I love lurkers, so I don't mind if you just want to lurk, but if you want to say something in the chat, I will answer you. So you have the choice. I believe in choices for everybody. But yeah, so go ahead and see if you can apply for a regular credit card with me. And if they want proof, if they want that credit letter, that might be enough for you to. Also, we need to put all the utilities in your name. It's about time we did that anyway. I'm not too good with this. But yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. We can put all the utilities in your name, and then you'll be building credit too. So yeah, I mean, this will take a few months, but it will work. But hey, I'd go to Lafayette to get low rent. That's not bad. Check them out. See if they will allow us to have all 3 pets. And read some reviews on the complex too. It's in Lafayette? Wow. So, we may have to move to Lafayette. It's alright, we can do it. But anyway, we're kind of up in the air, so we're considering all sorts of things. And I've probably got a good many, oh, let's see if we have enough points. Not yet. We need more life. So let's keep just we'll just keep on with this, getting lots and lots of skill points while I'm talking about all sorts of things. But you know, another thing I'd like to talk about is the issue of Social Security disability. Now, I lost my skill chain. That's how I feel about Social Security disability. Oh my gosh. Okay. Most people think if they ever get disabled, they're paying into the Social Security system that they will be able to get disability. And I say to those people, it's not that way. It is really hard to get Social Security disability. I have known of dying people who could not get it. And the process is so hard because everybody's like, oh, crooks will get it if we don't make it hard. But they make it so hard that a lot of disabled people can't get it. So I am of the considered opinion that we need a revamp of Social Security. We need to make it available for everybody who needs it. If somebody is dying, they should get it automatically. They shouldn't even have to apply for it. But we have certain factions in our government who feel like, why should we do anything for the poor? They're not doing anything for us. The bottom line is money. Well, how much is a human life worth? You know, is a human life worth less if we label somebody as lazy, shiftless, doesn't want to work? The truth is, I believe it was RAND, or it might have been the Kaiser Family Foundation. They found that if they gave families a regular income, that they actually worked harder. Now you would think that they'd just sit and not want to do anything, but that's not human nature. Look at people who retire. The people who sit around and watch TV, they don't last very long. Most people want to keep active. They want to either have a job or have a volunteer job. They want a cause. They want to do something. They don't want to just sit around and collect money. I've known a lot of people. I've sat in waiting rooms back when you had to do that. I have been in a lot of Social Security waiting rooms in different places because I moved around a lot. So yeah, looking for cheaper apartments, looking for areas that weren't gang infested, looking for areas that were safer, or where I didn't have a neighbor next door smoking pot and it was affecting my 5-year-old. Yeah, I have moved a lot because I've been a renter most of my life. And I can tell you, I have been in Social Security waiting rooms in several places. I've been in Department of Family and Children's Services waiting rooms in a whole lot of places. And I'm the type of person, I will talk to somebody. I'm not that outgoing. I'm really an introvert, but I'm friendly to people, and I do talk, and maybe I'll overhear something and I know something helpful. I don't really try to eavesdrop on people, but I am a people watcher. And through the course of talking to people, and maybe it was trying to help or whatever, they opened up to me. I tend to have that effect on people. They tend to trust me easily. Lucky I'm not a criminal. I mean, lucky for them, But if I know something helpful, I speak up. And since I have been low income most of my life, I have learned a lot about where to find cheap apartments, how to get food stamps, how to find low-income housing. I'm like a walking encyclopedia on a lot of that stuff. So I mean, yeah, if I hear somebody that is looking for something or odd places to find jobs, I'm good at that. I've had a lot of jobs in my life. So, sorry. I have talked to people, and I have found out a lot of surprising things. Most people in the Social Security office do not want to be there. They do not want to be on Social Security. They are like me. They don't want a handout. But they are there because they are either disabled or elderly or both, like me. I'm not actually elderly. I think I count as a senior. I'm 62 years old, so I don't know what point you are when you actually turn elderly, but labels can be so harmful. But I've talked to a lot of people. I have never run into anybody that I suspected of being a crook drawing Social Security. I really do not see that. I have not seen anybody that I wanted to turn into the Social Security office for fraud. I've known a lot of people who have been on Social Security. And believe me, if I thought I knew somebody who was doing fraud, it would make me angry and I would want to report them. Okay? So I'm not one to overlook things like that. I've called defects on people. I have called the Humane Society, the animal control people. I mean, I am not shy about that. If I'm sure there's something going on that I think is wrong, I want to do something about it. So I can tell you, of all these contacts, of all these people and all these waiting rooms that I have observed and maybe been in there several hours with them, so we had long conversations. I don't think that fraud is as widespread as certain politicians would want you to believe. I really think that most people that are getting disability deserve disability. One time my sister was like, well, I know somebody who's probably fraud, and it's like, are they able to work? You've seen, and like, well, they're crazy. And I look at her and I'm like, if they're mentally ill, then yeah, they can be on disability. If they're not hireable, why shouldn't they be on disability? And she got mad at me. Really, mental illness this is a reason to be disabled. If you can't hold a job because you can't get along with people because you've got a major mental illness going on, maybe that is a legitimate thing that people should get disability. You know, you may be physically able, but you may not be mentally able. So there are all sorts of disabilities, you know, it's not just physical disabilities. And people need to understand, you know, there are some people that are so mentally ill that they just are not capable of holding down a job. And should we be giving them Social Security? I think yes, we should. Because if somebody's not able to work, that is the definition of disability as far as Social Security disability, isn't it? Shouldn't they have the right to draw a disability if they are unable to support themselves? And it's not their fault that Reagan got all of the mental institutions taken away either, huh? Because where would these people be if they weren't out on the street and drawing disability? They would probably be admitted, you know? I think we should bring back mental institutions, but I think we should stipulate that they have to be small. I do not think we need to have these sprawling facilities of the 30s where we just, had giant facilities. It's easy for people to get lost in the system. If you have a small population in a building, you don't have a lot of the problems that you have in larger facilities. I'm not saying that it would prevent abuse. It's probably not going to, because there are always people who will abuse the helpless. There are always people who will try to work with the helpless, any helpless population, kids, mentally ill people, disabled people. There are always those that are very good at fooling people into thinking that, they care so much for this population, and then find that they're wanting to exploit that population. There is no corner on that market. So, if we bring back mental institutions, yeah, there are going to be problems. But is it better to throw these people in jail where they don't get mental health care? I just can't see that. I can't see that at all. We are building mental health jail. I do not want my taxpayers' dollars to go into any more incarceration. We incarcerate more people every year than communist China. What does that say about us as a nation? What does that say about us as people? Are we so heartless that we're just going to throw away the key on these people? What happened to the idea of jails as a place to rehabilitate people, to make them useful citizens? Now, I'm not talking about career criminals who would not think twice about pulling a gun and killing somebody that had children. I'm not talking about ruthless criminals that are not rehabilitatable. But that's not who's in prison. Most people in prison are there because of one charge, or maybe they were addicted and so they accumulated several charges in a short time, but maybe they were teenage and they were tried as adults. I really don't agree with the concept of trying children as adults. I know in certain cases that the cases are so heinous that, yeah, they'll try them as adults to just get them off the streets and so they can't hurt anybody else. Any criminal that has a violent tendency and they're likely to hurt other people, we probably should be throwing away the key. But we better be sure, right? There better be DNA evidence linking them with that crime. I'm not going to opt in for incarcerating people and throwing away the key if we're not sure they did the crime in the first place. And the criminal justice system does make mistakes. There are cases where somebody's been in jail most of their life for things that they didn't do, and the DNA evidence proved they didn't do it. So I am very much an advocate of us going back on these cases and looking at DNA evidence, because there may still be some in existence for some cases. You know, they should look at this and prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that somebody did something. And people who have been scapegoated and put in jail because the real person, you know, maybe had some important friends or whatever, that's just awful. It's hard to think about, it really is. But we need to think about what is our duty to our citizens. And one of the things about living in a free country is not just throwing people in prison and throwing away the key, but essentially with the laws that have been passed, this is, in a lot of cases, what we're doing. We're throwing people in jail and we're saying we're just going to leave them there to rot. We don't want to, you know, after somebody has paid their debt to society, they should have a driver's license again. They should have the ability to apply for a job without having to reveal that they were in jail. Because just because they did something 30 years ago doesn't mean that they're going to do the same thing when they get out. I think we should be giving people more second chances. If more of us had to spend time in prison, we might feel differently about incarceration in general. Why are we building mental health jails anyway? That just doesn't make sense to me at all. If somebody is mentally ill, then they shouldn't be in jail. They should be in a mental health facility where they can get treatment. And if there is no treatment, then at least they should be put someplace where they can be taken care of and, you know, for the rest of their lives, and not have to be in jail. I mean, if they're not mentally competent, they shouldn't be in jail. And I know a lot of movies have had that theme that, oh, there's people pretending to be mentally ill and they're getting mental health charges instead of criminal charges. And there will be, unfortunately, some people that will do that. But really, the majority of the mentally ill people in prison would have mental health records going back a long time. So I think that the fact that somebody can just fake a suicide attempt and then, you know, I mean, yeah, people can have a mental episode and end up in jail, and I don't think that it should be a given that if somebody gets mentally ill suddenly that, you know, we're going to lock them up and throw away the key. I mean, we need to be a kinder, gentler civilization. We need to be careful because anybody can be in the wrong place at the wrong time and be accused of a crime. We should practice innocent until proven guilty. We should be careful about how we treat people who have been in jail. because maybe they were innocent. It happens all the time that people get in jail by accident. It may seem that they're committing a crime when maybe they're not actually committing a crime. And we shouldn't have people in high places, getting people arrested because, well, they look like a criminal or whatever. No, nobody looks like a criminal. There is no way to tell from looking at somebody whether they have good intentions or law-abiding citizen or whether they are guilty of, a lot of crimes. What we need to do is just go by what is available, and we need to keep medical records for longer. We need to keep mental health records for longer. We do not need to have things for the convenience of business that we're only going to keep medical records for 7 years. This is ridiculous. We need to be keeping medical records for the lifetime of a person. And yeah, it's expensive to store them and all this stuff, but I had a severe concussion when I was 9 years old. Because it was so long ago, I couldn't get those records to prove that I had had a very bad fall and doctor's treatment for a year. All those records are gone. So when I was trying to prove my disability case, I couldn't submit that as evidence. I think it's ridiculous that, you can't get your medical records. We need to have medical records because medical records can tell the story of a person's life, and maybe a lot of things begin in childhood that without the records you can't prove that. So we need to be able to, have the records. As far as the issue of putting chips in people's wrists, there's been a lot of discussion about this as a human rights issue. We shouldn't do that. Well, I have 2 cats and a dog. They are all microchipped. If they get lost, they can be scanned, and maybe I will get them back. Now, if I had been able to microchip my children, I would have done it. Because the microchips that they put in animals are just a 6-digit number. That's it. It's not broadcasting where the animal is. It's not, giving any information. It gives a 6-digit number. Now, the beauty of this is you can have a database where that number is tied to contact information. So we could have chips for everybody. It's not an invasion of privacy because it's just Convoy? Oh, I'm in Convoy. Wow. Hi. I don't have my Discord on. Oh, he's left. Okay. Well, bye, Victor. But I don't know how that happened. It's all right. It's all right. He was probably trying to make a convoy with somebody else and got me by mistake. But the issue of microchipping. Now, I am against the concept of putting a chip that broadcasts its location. I don't think that we should be tracked by the government. But I think definitely anybody homeless it should all be volunteer. It should be if somebody wants a microchip, the government should give them a microchip. And then that microchip can be read. So if you've got it in your hand, you could wave your hand over something and it would identify you. I know this could be misused by governments, and I'm not saying that our government will never be corrupt enough to use it for bad purposes. But as far as me as a disabled person, I would want to be microchipped, quite frankly. I think it's a good idea, but I think it needs to be a national effort, because as the pet industry has gotten into microchipping, there are dozens of databases. So really, it's like, well, you can microchip them, but it depends on what company you're microchipping with, and the database that goes with that, whether your person would get identified. But I think it's a useful thing. What if a person dies, You want to be able to identify them quickly. What better way than if they're microchipped with a non-broadcasting chip, so it's not an invasion of their privacy. It's just giving them a way to be tracked in the database, not as far as, there's a fine line between invasion of privacy, but if you could tie it to medical records, think about what a boon that would be if they bring in somebody in the hospital. They don't know what's wrong with them. They don't even know who they are. If they're unconscious, you can't ask them. If they've got a chip, you just scan them and say, oh, this is so-and-so. Here's their medical records, and oh my, she's diabetic. Let's do something about that. It could save a life. So I think for medical purposes, there should be microchips. And that argument is going to go around and around. But I don't think, if we have laws to protect privacy and to protect people's rights, like HIPAA. HIPAA's a good start. It's not the do-all and be-all, but it helps. We need laws to protect people. We need laws to protect people's email. Did you know your email can be read and it's not a crime? We are in the infancy of the computer era, and we do not have protection against electronic surveillance and things. We need laws to address that. But everybody argues. They don't want to get together and come up with a really good plan. It's hard to please everybody, but you've got to have some compromises there. But we already have information on us. If somebody wants to find my phone number, all they've got to do is put my name in Google and it'll come up. It's like, I don't want my phone number to be out there, but it already is. So, there you go. For good or for evil, my phone number is knowable, and yours is too. If you don't believe me, do an internet search on yourself. Use your favorite search engine, and you will find out that you're not as private as you think you are. We need laws to protect each other. And I'm hoping that Congress someday will actually do what I want to see done and have a national database for people. We need to connect all the government services that we get. So if we have licenses, if we have a driver's license, if we have a college degree, if we have gotten vaccinations, it should all be available in one place. So to make it easier for us, oh my, I fell through the world. Whoa! That was strange. I've had that happen before. That is a really weird thing. I have gotten stuck from that, so I'm very grateful that it didn't stink me, but, you know. I think that we need a way to have a life history, not so the government can spy on us, but so it can save our life if we're in a traffic accident, so it can save our life if we end up in another country and they want to put us in jail, right, for something we didn't do. We can prove, hey, this is my life in my other country, and this is, you know, this is what I did and stuff. It might not work that way in the case of countries that aren't honest with their citizens, but for Western countries, I think it might be a viable thing. Let's see. Own and drive any sports utility hero vehicle. Oh. Well, this isn't a sports utility vehicle, so I need to get one. Yeah. Well, it's a Nissan, so I thought it would work for, well, for the photograph, yeah. I need to do the photograph. But I've been rambling on and on and on, and I need to check the festival playlist and see what I am doing. Castle in the Sky, Bamberg Castle. So I need to go to Bamberg Castle, and I can't just click on it and go there. I have to go to the map, and I have to find, oh, and I did it again. World map. Now I push A. We want to go to Bamberg Castle. It's over here. Oh, and guess where Force-a-thon Live is? Force-a-thon Live. I break for Force-a-thon Live.
Will begin soon.
Okay. So, I need to take a picture with the castle. I'm in a Nissan truck. I can take a picture of the castle. Yeah. Alright, let's go over here. Right at the border here. Alright, stop. And we'll do this. Alright. This has got a destruction boost. Alright. Photo contains a Nissan and Bamberg Castle. I got it. Alright. Bamberg Castle. Hamburgers. I wish I had one right now. Castle. All right. There we go. Okay. Scenery. All right. Okay. Yes, I want to exit photo mode. I want to see if any of my buddies in the group need a picture taken. So I'll go back over here, and there they are. Woo! Woo! This is fun. Oh, you can rack up the skill points over here just doing ultimate air. Kangaroo, ultimate skill change. Woohoo! crash landing and skidding around in the sand. Oh, that's nice. Okay.
This is another one that might be more viable for us.
Oh.
Well, it's off of West 2nd Avenue in Lafayette, Georgia. It's for $3,499.
Ooh. Okay.
And
Cool.
so basically, in this view, it's this area right here. It has access.
Ah. Yeah. Okay. All we need to do is for you to build up some credit and get a job. If anybody knows of any work that my daughter can do, she's willing.
Forzathon Live will begin soon. Good luck.
She's looking for customer service. She's looking for, possible work at home stuff. Anyway. Let's see if I've got enough points yet to put second life on my car, or extra life. It's extra life that I want. Woo! Woohoo! Oh, it would turn over. Well, it didn't ruin my skill chain. That's good. All right. Let's see. Okay. So I'm gonna see if I can put some more car mastery on this car, and I can get extra life. Your car laughs in the face of danger. I'm happy. Now I've got extra life. Yay! Woohoo! Oh, I got rank 200 in influence and a wheel spin. Yeah. Cool. Hurry up, wheel spin. Give me a 6-wheeler Mercedes and I'll be very happy. Well, I got a Veloster.
Forzathon Live, starting in 5,
Sell it.
4,
Okay.
3,
3,
2,
1,
go!
Go!
Round 1 started!
Round 1 is started. Get to the speed zone.
In 200 meters, turn right.
Okay. Woohoo! Speed zone. Yeah.
Recalculating route.
Sorry about your playhouse, kid. It'll be back in 5 minutes.
In 400
Trust
meters,
me, it will.
turn sharp left.
All right.
Turn sharp left.
Woo! Okay. Alright, let's see if we can. Ooh, okay. Getting to the speed zone. Woo! The speed zone has 2 cameras, so that wasn't it. That was a speed trap. This is going to be a speed zone, and I'm trying to stay on the road. Whoop. Okay. Here we go. Whoop. All right. Whoa. Oh. Let's go through that. Oh. Did it go? No, it didn't. All right. Okay. Now, let's try it again. Okay. This time we did. Okay. Whoa. Woo! first time I've done this speed zone. Oh, don't fail me. And that's what I did last time too. Okay. Alright. Let's barrel rolls. I'm good at those. Come on. Sometimes I'm good at those. Sometimes I'm not. Alright. Here we go. Between the gates, and let's start. First camera. I need to not run out of the zone. So I'm going to have to keep control of the vehicle. Whoa. Alright. Alright, good. Let's do this. Whew. Okay. Let's do this. It's how fast your average speed is in the zone. And you can't run too far out of the zone or you get kicked out. So I'm trying very hard to keep my average speed up while...
Round 1 complete!
Yay!
Get to round 2!
Skills area, yay! Oh. This way?
In 100 meters, turn right.
Oh.
In 400 meters,
Alright.
turn left. Recalculating route.
Oh. Earn skill score at the destination.
In
Oh,
400
this...
meters, turn right.
So...
Turn right.
Alright. Well. Where is it anyway? Where is the skill area? It's up there. Oh man, why am I being directed this way then? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to fast travel up there. It sent me on a wild goose chase. Anna, how can you do that to me? Sometimes Anna is not living in the real world. All right, let's do this. Woo! Take down this. I get extra destro points on this vehicle. It's a destruction truck. Okay. Yeah. Alright. And it doesn't say what kind of skill score, it just says earn skill score. Oh. Anything will do. Anything goes. Whee! Of course, if you do some fancy jumps, it's a good thing. So, I'm going to do some fancy jumps. Whee! Oh, where's a ramp? Where's a ramp? Yeah, there's one. All right. Woo! Woo-hoo! I love ramps. I love ramps. Yay! Whoop. All right. Go back and do it again. Whee! Woo-hoo! I used to think that Forzathon Live was all about them having a live camera in the blimp so you could see what's going on with a commentator, but no, it's live streamers like me. You're on the ground participating. So, yeah, it's a little different than I expected, but technically I'm doing a Forzathon live stream right now. I'm a live streamer and I'm doing a live stream.
Get to round 3.
Right, speed
Turn
trap.
around when it is safe to do so.
So, where do I go? Where do I go? Where do I go? To the speed trap. Over there. Oh, upright, please. Okay. Alright. I'm not doing that again. Okay. Let's see. Is that the one? No, it's not the one. We need to go this way.
Recalculating route.
We need to follow the other guys. They know where it's at.
In 400 meters,
So, here we go.
turn right.
Oh. Alright. Here we go.
In 400 meters,
Oh.
turn left.
Okay.
Turn left. In 100 meters,
Oh.
turn right.
Turn left, turn right, turn left, turn right. Make up your mind. Oh no.
In 100 meters,
Did your electronics
left.
get a little too hot or something? Or kinda. Oh. Anyway.
in 100 meters, turn left.
One score at the speed trap. Right. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Woo!
Turn around when it is safe to do so.
Let's say. Ah! Keep doing 360s when I want to do 180s. Alright, let's get this. Let's get this. Come on. 170. 230. 250. Yay! 264.
Turn around when it is safe to do so.
Right. Here we go. Okay. See how fast I can go. If I keep hitting things, I'm not going to get the speed I want, though. Ooh.
Turn around when it is safe to do so.
Turn around.
Round 3 complete. Congratulations.
Yay! We did it! We did it! Whee! Ha 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 ha! Woohoo! Ha 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 ha! Whee! Ha 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 ha! Woohoo! Ha 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 ha! Hi! Looking good. Oh. Looking good. Whee! Oh, I missed it. Look at that garbage wigging out. That's what happens when garbage wigs out. Maybe I hit it too hard. It's now molecularly blending with the... Whoa! Garbage can be so much fun. Then, going postal. Now all I need is creamed. We did Force-a-thon live. Woo! I feel good. I feel good. Another garbage can to cream. There we go. And another one. Oh yeah. Let's get some bin there. Woohoo! Oh. Ah, postal. Yay. Bin man. Another postal. Yay! You get lots of points for that. Oops, sorry, NPC. I'm going nuts in Edinburgh. It's like, oh. Oops. There we go. All right. Going nuts in Edinburgh. That should be a movie title. Oh no! She lost it. She's going crazy. Whew. All this landlord stuff is driving me crazy, but that's okay. That's okay. Actually, I should stay on the outside and I'll hit more garbage cans. Whee! Woohoo! There should be a road opening there somewhere. Woohoo! I'm still in the zone. I'm still in the zone. Let's get this. Woohoo! Woo! 163. 86 more for 3 stars. That's why I haven't gotten 3 stars yet. Really, I have not gotten 3 stars yet. It's so hard. Garbage cans. More garbage. More garbage. More garbage. Like pretend I'm in a movie and being pursued or pursuing somebody. With Hollywood every day on Horizon 4. So much fun. I would never do this in real life, but it's a movie. Woo! What happens if you hit the train? I'm going to show you. Except I'm not on the train track. Alright, where's the train? Where's the train? Oh. I can't resist this. Road open. And, poster. And Bin Man. Some of these garbage cans just explode when you hit them. It's kind of fun. Oh, those aren't takedownable. I wonder what they are. Only the people of Edinburgh know. Only the people of Edinburgh know. Only the people of Edinburgh know what those strange metal boxes are for. There's the train. Don't want to hit these bus stops. They don't move. Switching tires and everything. I should be making a movie. Whee! Whee! Roll open! Yay! Woo! Bin Man! Wrong number! What's the poster? Got that one. Poster! Woo! Postal, wrong number, Bin Man. Edinburgh Castle. I could buy it, but I'm not really. Well, I'm not really wanting to spend that much. There's no real benefit to Edinburgh Castle except the prestige of owning a castle. And you don't really own it. It's some sort of weird foreign lease arrangement. Okay, let's see how many points we have that we can put on this car. Car Mastery, 5 of 16 perks. And get a couple more. Natural Drifter, if only I were. And that's it. Alright. All that and not enough skill points for everything, but well, if I do enough Destro, I will get it, but I think y'all probably want to watch something else besides me just simply smashing things. Of course, I could climb the mountain. Want to see Arthur's Seat? Can't quite reach that danger sign. Not this way, but I can go around. Whee! No nobody knows who Arthur is that Arthur's seat was named for. That's a shame, really. Whoop, speed zone. I better hurry. Ooh. Uh-oh. I failed the speed zone. I really failed the speed zone. Oh. Let's see if I can not fail the drift zone. I'm not getting any points though. Baloney. That's what I say. Baloney. Sausage and marinara. And pasta. Yeah, that's what I say. Oh well. Okay. So I'd rather think about yummy things than the other stuff, huh? Yeah, me too. Okay. Alright, so I was going up here. I love climbing mountains in cars. It's just counterintuitive. If I was in a real car, I would probably break down before I got up to it. But, oh, isn't this nice? The mast. Yeah. It's so nice. There's a guy wire. There's a fence. More fence. And more fence. Does it take a fence? I should quit with the puns. But I can't help it. Take a fence is fun. It's fun. Whee! There's a ladder. When I was a DJ, I had to walk outside and check to see if the light was burning on top of the tower. So, yeah. I had to walk out to, I didn't have to walk to the tower, but I had to look up to see if the light was burning. That was a once a night job before I left the radio station at local sunset, because we had to turn it off at local sunset. There are some stations that have a license to remain on, and then there are stations that have to go off the air at local sunset. So I had to make sure that the light was on, and I had to play the national anthem, and I had to, you know, most of the time I was in the station by myself with the door locked, and I was 16 doing this. And one time, because this station, it was in a Quonset hut, I closed the door, and I was very careful to close it gently, and then I would just push it back open when I came, because it locked automatically. You couldn't set it so it didn't. And that particular afternoon, I thought it was secure, and I went to leave it, and then it closed, and there was this click. And it's like, oh no, I've just locked myself out of the station. What do? I don't have a key. The station manager has a key. I don't have a phone, because back then, this was before the days of cell phone. This was 1976. There were no cell phones. So I would have had to have driven I would have to drive to the nearest payphone and hope I had the station manager's number in my purse, which I'm pretty sure I did, because I was, I was the type of person I would be prepared for any contingency, so yeah. But I didn't want to have to call my manager and say that I was stupid enough to lock myself out of the station while the national anthem is playing. And at the end of the national anthem, you have to bring the station down, or the station manager or owner will have consequences from that. So they were depending on me to do my job. So I went around back, and while I was around back, I checked to make sure the light was burning on top of the tower. It was. There was another door to the station. And I was just praying that by some miracle that door was unlocked. But I looked above it, and the size of my fist is a wasp nest that's got angry guinea wasps on it. And I'm like, oh no. And I'm deathly afraid of wasps. So I got my courage up, I ran at the door, and I grabbed that handle as hard as I could and turned it as hard as I could, and I could hear those wasps buzzing around my head, and I was breaking out in a cold sweat. But I got the door open. I got to the studio before the national anthem finished, just as the final notes were playing, and then I turned off the transmitter. So it had a happy ending that day. I never again let that door close. Instead of just closing it gently and hoping it wouldn't lock, I actually put something in between it and the door jamb so it could close. So I learned that day, and I also was very thankful for a loving Heavenly Father that gave me a miracle that day. So, I enjoyed being a DJ. It was the most fun job I ever had, and now I am a live streamer, and I'm really enjoying this, even though I don't get to fool with fancy equipment or make power adjustments or anything. I don't get to read meters, but it's okay. I'm enjoying being here talking to you and playing my game and just having a good old time. It is a good life. I've been handicapped since I was a child, so I don't really know what normal life is, but hey, I have had a long and enjoyable life, and I'm still enjoying life at 62 with more handicaps than with it when I started. But the thing is, life is sweet. There's always something new to enjoy about life. Mama taught me to be an optimist. If the glass if you got half a glass of water, is it half full or is it half empty? A lot of people go through life thinking, oh, that glass is only half. It's not enough. It's, I wish I had a full glass. But then the optimist looks at that glass and says, I'm grateful for that half a glass of water. It's half full. There's room for more. So, how you look at life is so important. Wow, it's a tower farm. Ooh, look at that. It is important to enjoy life. Whether you have or whether you're one of the have-nots, whether you are my age, older than me, younger than me, whether you are in a happy situation or going through a crisis, you can always find happiness. It's best to find happiness in the little things. You know, if you find a flower growing where you don't expect it, or you find a weed and the weed has a beautiful flower. It's like, why is this thing classified as a weed anyway? So, you know, there are always things in your day that can give you joy, that can give you satisfaction, even happiness. But most happiness is not like, oh, I'm so happy. You know, sometimes it's just, boy, this is a pleasant day, isn't it? It's a nice day to go out for a drive in my Nissan truck. You know, it's simple things that make happiness. I am taking a course on the science of well-being, which is also referred to as the happiness course. You can take it too. It's free on Coursera.com. And what it is all about is learning that money doesn't necessarily make you happy. It can make you happy if you've got enough money to pay your bills and all this, but a lot of people at very high incomes are not particularly happy. And, you know, money in and of itself does not make a person happy, but if you have the right attitude towards that money, if you feel like your money is enough, if you look at your income and say, well, it's enough. I get what I want, I have what I need, my family has what they need, so I can be happy. And if your family doesn't have what they need, and you don't have what you need, and you can't pay your bills, then that's a definite recipe for unhappiness. But you can still look at what you have and say, well, I still have this, whether it's a family member, whether it's, you know, something that you worked hard for, like a house. If you own your home, you can say, well, my home has problems, but at least it gives me shelter. It covers me when there is bad weather. And I can, you know, if I own my home, I can improve it if I've got an income. So, you know, there are always things to be grateful for. And if you can't pay your bills, maybe you can still smile at your baby, or maybe your kid smiles at you, and that's worth a lot, you know? You can't put a price on love. So if you've got someone to love you and you love them, then you've got a leg up on a lot of people as far as happiness. And if you're lonely and you're not happy living alone, there's always the chance you could meet somebody that can change your life. And it's a lot harder to meet somebody when you're handicapped because, you know, just statistically speaking, it's harder to find somebody to date when you're disabled. But it's not impossible. The main thing is the attitude that you have towards your life. If you feel like your life is sweet, you're going to look for good things to prove that statement. And if you feel like your life is lousy, you're going to be looking for everything wrong so you can have your long laundry list of problems. Your attitudes towards everything in your life, where you live, your money, your control, the things you have control over, and who you choose to surround yourself with, your friends, and your family members, you know, you have choices there too. And, you know, if you've got family that loves you and you love them, you've got a real treasure that isn't measured by income. You know, you can, and the choices you make about your income, you can make different choices about your income. You don't have to have a big fancy house to be happy. You don't have to have the newest, most exciting car to drive to be happy. You don't have to have the most expensive clothing labels and stuff. You can choose to make do with less so that your income covers your needs. And making do with less isn't a disgusting decision of, oh, I'm going to have to do without so-and-so so I can pay my bills. It doesn't have to be a Roman tragedy. You can just decide that, okay, yeah, I've got X income, but it's enough. I can tone down my wants and pay for my needs. And there is a lot of self-satisfaction in that. If you can control your wants to make your needs covered. And if you can't cover your needs, and you have needs and you can't get them, you can still work on it. You can still adjust it. You can still try to find ways around it. Because you have choices. You live in a free country. You have the ability to think about your life and what you might want to change about it and the things you want to keep about it. You have the power to change what you don't like into things that you would like. If you don't like the city you're living in, you can save up and sell your house and get a new one. Or if you're a renter, you can just finish out your lease and then go to a new place. It's exciting to do that, to decide to go someplace different that you've never lived before. I've done that when I was younger, and it was fun. But what I do, I went back to where I had been. And if I could afford Atlanta, I would go back to Atlanta because I love Atlanta. I like country life and I like city life. So I'm doable in both places. I really like to be able to I like being near open spaces so I can go to a park, for example, or go to someplace different, and just enjoy nature. But at the same time, I like the hustle and bustle of the city. So I like both places. There are a lot of pros and cons to both the country and the city. You know, there are always free museums and stuff in the city, or if you live in a college town, a lot of colleges have free museums that are open to the public. You know, I love museums. That's one of my neat things. And I love art galleries, and I love musical performances. There are a lot of free stuff that you can take advantage of at your local community college, for example. You don't even have to be a student there. So there are always opportunities to do things. Movies are going to cost what they're going to cost, right? But you can go to a matinee, and if you're older like me, you can get the senior citizen discount. So we haven't been to a movie in a while, but we could. We could. So we're, you know, there are choices we can make with our money that can add to our happiness. We just have to figure out what they are for our family and go from there. There are ways to cope with any disability. It's tough. Some disabilities are really, really tough to deal with. And, you know, if you're going through that with your family, I feel for you. But don't forget, if you are a member of a religion, you can pray. If you're not a member of a religion, you can still look for positive things. And, you know, if you don't have a higher power that you can look up to or you don't want to have, that's okay. You can look for beauty, look for wisdom. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there in the world that can help your happiness and a lot that can hurt your happiness. You just need to decide for yourself, the things that I'm doing now, are they helping my happiness or are they hurting my happiness? And if something that you're doing is hurting your happiness, take steps to stop and go in another direction. You have choices. You can do things. So I'm just trying to say that there are always alternatives. If you don't like the way your life is going, you can change it. And just about any happiness that you get, a lot of it is based on being kind to others and helping others. So it's a good thing to think about. If you're not doing anything for other people, maybe you should get a volunteer job and try it and see if it helps your happiness. Oftentimes, thinking about other people's problems gets your mind off your own. And if you can help other people, then, you know, there's this satisfaction that comes from that, and maybe you make some new friends along the way. So, you know, if you haven't tried thinking outside the box, there's a lot of ways to think outside the box that are good things. But whatever's good or lovely or change of pace, you know, sometimes just taking a country drive is a very good thing if you've got a car, to just go and look at something beautiful. Cities have their own kind of beauty, and the country has beauty, and even the most arid, ugly piece of land has beauty somewhere. You just gotta look for the beauty. Look for the good, and you will find it. That's my message for tonight. And it goes for disabled people, and it goes for normal people too. You can increase your happiness. There is no limit to the amount of happiness you can feel. You just need to look for happy things instead of looking for things to complain about or be mad about, or, you know, I mean, believe me, every time I look at the news, I get mad about something or another. The news is a threat to my happiness sometimes, but sometimes I hear about things on the news that really please me. You know, the latest technological advances, for example. You know, there's a lot of things that I like news that gives me hope. So the news that you choose to watch can have a lot to do with how happy you are. If you're watching the news every day, you need to make sure that your news service is giving you something besides bad news. There's a lot of bad news lately, and it has been this way for years, you know. You don't want to suck in the bad news so much that it makes you think, oh, the world's a terrible place. Why am I even alive? You don't want to think that way. You don't want to think that way. What you want to do is think about, this is an awesome world we live in. Yeah, it's got its problems. My government has its problems, but we are alive and we have choices. And we can use those choices to better ourselves. So, you know, the next time you go on a country drive, don't think about, oh, how ugly my town is, or, you know, oh, we've got all this poverty. Look for the nice things. Look for the things that are being done for people in helpless situations in your community. And you start to see how good people really are. Because I believe that people in our world are basically good. I believe that most people aren't crooks. I believe that most people are kind. I believe that most people would help you if you got in a bad situation. But we can get a distorted worldview, especially on the news, if we only see bad things. If we only listen to commentators who are complaining.
You have arrived at your destination.
If we instead look for a more balanced newscast that has some good news to it. You know, I love tech news. I love knowing about what advances are coming and actually getting to prepare for it. It's a lot of fun for me. So positive attitude goes a long way towards happiness. And having a good career and a good income, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not a bad way to start your life. You know, go to school, get a career that's a good field and something that you can feel good about. You know, I used to get a lot of good self-esteem from my job. And it was hard when I couldn't work anymore to come home, and I wasn't having to get up and go to work every day, and I felt guilty to be sitting here taking Social Security and not working, because I'd always worked. But at the same time, it's nice to think that, you know, I could have been in the worst place. But here I am, I'm here, and it's autumn, and I'm driving around and having lots of fun. And it's okay, you know? I'm getting my mind off my troubles and just mindlessly driving through the field. And it's really much fun just to be able
At your
to,
destination.
you know, be able to drive around. Because I gave up driving last week or the week before last. So I'm not really counting days of how many days I've been out from behind the wheel. I don't have insurance anymore, so driving is not possible for me. I could have kept enough insurance on me that I could have driven every once in a while, but why? You know, I really think it's better this way, just to step back and let other people drive me. Chrissy will take me anywhere I want to go, and that's fine. Maggie will take me places too if I ask her. We went and looked at a plot of land today, and I got really excited about it, but I don't know if we can swing all the things we have to do to make it livable. But I can dream, right? We can take steps to improve our credit, and maybe it just might be a dream come true. But the main thing that I need to do in my life is to spend time being satisfied with what I have. Because if I think I have enough, I have enough. We can pay our bills. So it's one of those things of you play these mind games with yourself, and you think, oh, I should have this. I've been working so many years, and, you know, well, maybe this isn't the answer. You know, what you measured success by 30 years ago might not work for now. But the trick to dealing with disability, dealing with any setback in your life, is to take a step back and say, okay, I can do things. What do I want to do? And just figure it out. You may be able to figure it out, you may not be able to figure it out. But there are sources on the internet that can help. If it's a medical problem, you can look on the National Institutes of Health and see, you know, what that's all about. There are solutions to some problems on the internet. Make sure you use good sources. You know, make sure it's a .edu or a .org that is studying that sort of thing, or a .gov. So, you know, use good sources. Fact check.
Okay, sis.
If you
I've
want to know,
updated your route
if
to
you
the
really
Forts
want
of
to
On
know
Live event now.
what you should do in a given situation, bottom line, you've got to decide. But if you have some good, solid information, you can make a better decision. So you want
Turn around
to
when it is safe to do so.
research it. And that means using good sources like they taught you in high school and college. You know, look at things from a different perspective. If you have a sticky problem, sometimes just changing your point of view, play devil's advocate and look at the other side of the issue. Just try to figure out, okay, how do I want to react to this? I'm not so sure I want to, you know. Try to figure out what works for you. Because sometimes things work and sometimes they don't. If you are trying to figure things out, you find some good sources on the internet, make a better informed decision,
400 meters,
you're always
you will
going to be
arrive at
better
your
off.
destination.
Some things have no
early.
solutions.
Forts of On Live
You
will
know.
begin soon.
If you know somebody who's, you know, who's
200
dying
meters,
or
you
their
will arrive at your
family
destination.
member is dying, there's not a lot you can do to help them, but there are some things that you can do to help make life easier for the person and their family who's going through the
You
stuff
have arrived
too.
at your destination.
So whatever problem there is, there are always uninformed solutions. You want to avoid those. You want to make sure that you're getting sources from a reputable organization. Because if you're just, looking at certain sources because you like those sources, but maybe they're not entirely truthful, you want to go with the truthful source. You want to have good information. And, you want to be careful. But get some more information. If you're struggling with a decision, try to think of something that, if you knew, would help you come to a decision. And, look for the latest scientific research if it's that sort of thing. If it's something that is more opinion, that's tougher. We have a hard time letting go of our decisions and our opinions. But look at both sides of an issue. If it's an opinion type thing, look at the other side too. What have you got? What can you have? So, you may be facing a tough decision and just trying to figure out, well, how can I make this work? Don't be afraid to ask for help. There are always professionals that can help you think things through and maybe test something and see if something can be done, or, go outside your little circle. Don't just decide, oh, there's
Photos
nothing
on
that can
live,
be
starting in
done.
5, 4, 3,
3,
2,
2,
1,
1,
go!
go!
Round 1 started.
Get to the speed trap. All right, let's go. So, be kind to yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself. So many of us go through life just berating ourselves because we're not good enough in some way or another. Don't worry about that. You are good enough. If you're doing your best, you are good enough. And if you're not doing your best,
Turn around.
why don't you look
It is
at your
safe to do
psyche
so.
and see why you're not
200
doing your
meters,
best?
turn
Have you
sharp
given up
right.
because things are so hopeless? That's not being lazy. Sometimes you just can't go on. That's not giving up.
In 400 meters,
Don't
turn
give it
sharp
up.
right.
Keep trying.
Turn
But
sharp
if you
right.
feel like you absolutely can't do it, then don't feel like you're a failure because you didn't do that one
400
thing.
meters,
Maybe you
turn
might
sharp
excel
right.
at something different. Maybe you can go in a different
Round 1 complete.
position.
Get to round 2.
Look at something from a different angle if you've got a sticky problem. You might just find a solution by taking it apart into baby steps. Think about, okay, what am I getting out of this? And what could I be doing with this? If it's a relationship, try not to look at it as you do material things. If this person's feelings involved, try to consider their feelings, but also be careful of your feelings. You don't want to let somebody else run you if they're just wanting to take, and they're not wanting to give. That's not love, and that's not what you need to be doing. But if you're not giving and you maybe think the other person doesn't deserve what you were willing to give, maybe you ought to take another look and say, well,
Turn around when it is safe to do so.
there are always alternatives. You just have to give yourself time, make your mind quiet, and just think. Sometimes, if you just think about something at intervals, then solutions will just pop into your head. It's called insight.
Round 2 complete. Get to round 3.
And insight can be a powerful thing. Sometimes you have to give up certain beliefs. You know, if you've been told all your life, oh, you can't do that, and then finally you convince yourself to try and you do it,
In 400 meters,
then
turn
hey,
right.
that can change your whole worldview. So don't worry about being good enough. You are. Just work hard and things will work out. They may not work out like you want them to work out, but as long as you are doing your best, you're giving your all, you're trying, you will find some success. Just be prepared that it might surprise you that maybe the success that you're getting is not the kind of success you were aiming for.
Turn around when it is safe to do so.
Be flexible. So often we get just like, well, it's California or nothing. Well, what
In
about
100
Georgia?
meters, turn sharp right.
It might be life-changing
In 400 meters,
to
turn
consider
right.
that there are other options besides the ones you know.
Round 3
There
complete.
are...
Congratulations.
Yay! We did it again! You know, consider that there are always alternatives. There are always different ways to look at the same problem. You just have to get creative. So, don't despair. There are always ways out of a situation, even if you don't see any way that it would. You know, look at different ways of looking at your problems. And if you don't give up, you will find a solution. You just have to look hard enough, get more information, ask an expert. You know, just don't give up. Don't give up. And I'm going to get my epic Lexus. And, ooh, Bugatti. Do I want a Lexus or Bugatti? Can I get both? Maybe I can get both. All right. I can get both. Yay! Yay, Forza-thon! And modern race helmet and race suit. Black. I don't really want black, so I'm not going to get it. Black is elegant. It's, you know, it's a nice color, but I just don't like black. I like bright colors. So I'm going to wait and save my Forzathon points. Alright, I've done today's daily, and I've talked about a lot of stuff, and I've stayed on way too long. I'm about to sign off and wish you a good evening, and I hope you'll think about what I've been saying for, I guess, the last hour. You know, there are always alternatives, no matter how bad your problems are. Think outside the box. Ask an expert. Do some research. Make sure you use good sources. Don't go by opinions. Look for facts. Opinions are nice, but bottom line, the only opinion that counts is yours. So, don't give up. Never give up. No disability is insurmountable. There are always solutions to your problems, and especially in the world of disability. Sometimes you just have to look at a problem from a little different angle. But if you have the attitude that there will be a solution, and you don't give up looking for it, eventually you might find it. In the case of miracle cures, don't be so looking for miracle cures. Look for something that can improve your quality of life just a little bit. You might be surprised at how much that changes your outlook. Don't wait for the big miracle cure, because you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. They happen, but usually it's not a whole solution. It doesn't really solve all the problems, so don't expect perfection. A little progress can make a big difference in your attitude, and if you can keep a positive attitude, you can keep going. That's my word on disability for the end of the broadcast. I hope it's helpful, and I hope to see y'all tomorrow night. I'm gonna sign off now. This is GrannyHandicap. I am Dennis Cole, wishing you a good night and wishing that you find solutions to all of your problems, or at least improve your attitude so that you can enjoy life despite them. Take care, and this is GrannyHandicap signing off. I'm going over to Twitch, and I'm going to pull the plug right now.